Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is the handover of the Auto Trail Tribute T670. Starting the walk round on the driver's side of the vehicle first. This vehicle is fitted with a 25 litre underslung gas tank, so this is your filling point. So release the cover and you've got a bayonet fitting here. So what you do is you'd go to your local LPG centre or forecourt that sells LPG, connect the filler, turn the front and pull the trigger back, and then press the button on the display until simply it stops filling. And from empty, I've just been to fill this, so it's got a full tank and it took about £13. And then you do have a gauge where you can view the level just beside the driver's accelerator pedal. So if you put the engine on, it will then show, it'll go up slowly, but it'll show you how much gas is in your 25 litre tank. There it's showing that you have a full tank of gas. Further back you've got your mains connection point, so this is where you'd hook the vehicle up if you were charging it at home or you were on site. So you get your hooker bleed, lift the end and hook it up. Hook the vehicle first, then the site, and do it in reverse order when unhooking, so you're not walking around with a live lead. And then you do have a lever here that you'd push down on the left hand side to pull the hooker bleed out. Underneath you've got two taps, so you've got a grey and a waste. So this is your freshwater drain. So if you have taken on contaminated water, if you drain it down for the winter, or you're simply not using it for a while, you just open it up and let the water out. And then your grey one is anything that you've drained down the plug hole, your sink water, your shower water and your hand basin water. And normally on the way out of a site, you'd simply crack this open and drain off your waste content. It's very important that in the winter you drain both of these down when the weather gets cold, as you wouldn't want the water to freeze in the tanks below the van. Using your habitation key, you can open your cassette locker, which is this one here, and then operate your cassette. What you need to do is ensure that the blade is closed on the inside of the toilet, which I'll go into more detail when inside the vehicle. But then you'll be able to lift the blue clip, slide it out. You can carry or wheel your cassette to your waste disposal point, which is normally beside your toilet block. Remove the cap, press the blue button at the back and empty it out. Once you've emptied it out, the content of the cassette, put some water in, give it a rinse and empty again. And then if you're using for chemical, this is 120 millilitres. So the liquid, fill it up, a cap full into here, it's good to go back into the van. If you were using the tablet foam, pint of water in, which you can do now when it's out, or you can push it in completely dry. Flush a pint of water into the cassette, followed by a tablet, which is in the cellophane sachet, and you need one tablet each time you change the cassette, or 120 millilitre of liquid. This is your boiler flue, so inside the vehicle will be where the boiler is situated, but this allows the fumes out when operating on gas. Then at the back of the vehicle you've got your high level brake light and your bullet style reverse camera. You've got your boiler here, so your boiler just two jobs: heats the vehicle and heats the water. So it has a 10 litre built-in water container. In the winter it's very important that you drain all water off the vehicle. So when this yellow double jointed drain down valve is lying down, it's holding water. So what you need to do is to ensure that the water doesn't freeze and doesn't crack the cylinder head. When you're not using the vehicle in the winter, stand it up. 10 litres of water will drain directly out underneath the chassis. Leave that stood up during the time you've got the vehicle in storage or parked on the drive, not in use, to stop the water from freezing. Open and freshen the waste outside like I've just shown you. Open all the taps within the vehicle and remove your shower head from your shower hose and lie the hose in the tray just to stop any water from coiling up in that pipe. And then what you would do when you come to reuse the vehicle, shut the boiler, shut the freshener waste, shut all the taps, fill the vehicle with water via a hose pipe, which I'll show you in a minute because it's on the passenger side how to do that. Come in, put the control panel on, put the pump on, go to the cold side of the tap first. You'll get an automatic pressurised cold water feed because it's transferring it direct from the chassis underneath the van to the tap. Go to the hot side, it will cough, splutter, make all sorts of noises until you get a pressurised flow from the hot side, which is a free flow of water, as it's transferring it from the tank underneath the van via the pump, and it's filling this with 10 litres, so all the air is going to push out. Once you get a free flow of water from the hot side, this is when you know your hot water system is primed. Got some storage on this side, and then at the front in that battery box is where your leisure battery lives. And then on the passenger side you've got your fridge vents, your awning and your awning light, but you've also got your freshwater drain. So you've got the blue tap on the other side, which is your drain point. This is your fill point. So again, using the habitation key, you can lock and unlock this cap, push in and turn, put the hose pipe in there until it overflows, or until you're happy you've got enough water on board, which you can see on the main site, on the main panel above the door. But on your main site, it'll just be a brass tap, so carry a hose pipe and some hose pipe connections so you can fill your motorhome up with fresh water. Got your diesel at the passenger door, which opens with the main ignition key. Tyre pressures, so 5 bar on the front, which is 72.3 psi, and 5.5 on the back, which is 79.5. You've got a toolkit underneath your passenger seat, which has got a jack and a brace and a tone eye in, and your engine battery lives underneath this floor. Bonnet releases on the side of the dashboard, so if you give that a pull, it'll release the bonnet, and then you've got a second catch just underneath the bonnet. And you've got all your fluids to the left hand side underneath the driver's side of the vehicle. So you've got your screen wash, this lifts off with the 3 tabs, and you've got your power steering fluid and your coolant, brake fluid, engine oil and your dipstick there. Paint code, which is 611 for the Grigio aluminium, an earth, and then if you pop your key in here, lift this cover up, you've got a positive terminal there for giving or receiving a jump start. Weight plate here, so 3.5 ton gross vehicle weight, 6 ton train weight. So that's the motorhome, and whatever you're towing can't exceed 6 ton. Above the door is where you'll find the location of your main 12 volt control panel. So you can turn the vehicle on and off from here. This is your master switch in the top left hand corner. Then if you press, you always want the blue light to be on the battery L, which is your leisure battery. You press on that, you can view your leisure battery reading, but then you can press vehicle battery V, which is your vehicle, and view your car battery level. But you never want the blue light to be on that, because that's now using the car battery to light the motorhome. So put it back on the leisure battery, because if not, you could flatten the vehicle battery and then you'll be going nowhere. You've got your pump here, so you can turn your pump on to pressurise your water through your taps, toilet and shower. And press in on here, I'll show you how much fresh water you've got in the water tank. So at the moment we've probably got about 30 litres in there, and that's how you would check your fresh water. You've got your various lights here, so one will be your awning light, one's your entrance light, one's the back lights, and one's the lights across here. And also above the habitation sliding cargo door, you do have your Truma CP control panel. So to turn on and off, you just press and hold here, and then when it's on standby like it is now, you would press enter, and you've got your various settings. So in the top left hand corner you have a motorhome with a thermometer in. This is the temperature that you want the inside of your motorhome to be. So you can have it all the way to off if it was in the summer and you didn't want any heat because it's warm enough, or in the winter you can have it all the way to 30 degrees. Once you're happy, you would just press enter and save that at 30 degrees, or the temperature that you want. Next to it you have your water, which is your water in the thermometer. This is your hot water, so make sure you've got enough water on board and the boiler is primed first, because otherwise it will be like boiling a kettle with no water in. You can burn the element, so you'd have it on off. Eco, which is 40 degrees of heating your water. Hot, which is 60 degrees of heating your water. And boost will turn off your heating to prioritise your water. So for this we'll just say hot at 60 degrees. And then moving on, you've got a gas bottle and some electricity signs. This is what source you're going to be heating the vehicle and water off. So you've got gas on its own if you're wild camping. You'd have no source of electric. You've got a mixture of 1 kilowatt of electric and gas. A mixture of 2 kilowatts of electric and gas. So in the winter, if you were in desperate need of heating the vehicle to take the chill off it, or water, you'd use both sources together, and within 15 minutes you should have the vehicle at temperature and the water hot. And then you can knock it back off the gas and you've got your electric setting. So you've got electric on 1 kilowatt and electric on 2. So depending on what amperage your site gives you, small ICL site, you may have to use electric on 1, which is 750 watt. Or on the bigger sites, you can use electric on 2 kilowatts, which is 1500 watts. Moving to the top right hand corner, you've got the fan speed. So you've got Eco, which will take a smaller 12 volt feed to circulate the heat around the various duct parts of the vehicle. Or you've got High, which the fan will work a little bit harder and push the heat round. So it'll take a little bigger feed of 12 volt. So for this we'll just say Eco. And if you were sleeping and you wanted the heating on, I would put on Eco as well, because it's a little bit quieter, the fan. In the bottom left, you've got a timer, so you can time the heating to come on and off. You've got the date and time on the control panel. And then in the settings, if you get a warning triangle in the middle, you can go all the way down to reset, press reset, it'll come up preset, press again, and this will restart the control panel, and you'll have to go in and reset everything. So if you do get a warning triangle, it'll eliminate that if the problem is just a glitch, and then you'll go back in and set everything back up again. And then to turn off, you just press and hold. So in the kitchen, you've got 3 gas burner rings. Once you've had the hob on, if you allow them to cool down before you put the cooker hood down, and then behind the cooker hood you do have a 240 volt socket for a kettle. Storage above with another 240 volt socket. Underneath the hob you've got oven and grill. So always make sure that your oven shelf, this funny shape, is at the back. But you may want to take these out when travelling. You've got the oven, and then above you do have your grill. So hold it in for approximately 3 seconds longer to allow the nib to get hot before releasing. And it'll allow the thermocouple to stay open and the grill will stay lit. Underneath you've got storage. This is the location of your water pump, and you've got your red gas taps here. So if you need to isolate an individual appliance you can do, but these are mainly for when the vehicle is annually habitation serviced. And then further back you've got your fridge. So at the top here it's off, so it's a 3-way fridge. It's off at 2 o'clock. It's on mains electric, which is 240 volts. So if you're lucky enough to keep this at home and you are charging the van battery a few days before you're planning your trip away, you may want to pre-chill your fridge if you're going to take shopping from home with you. So you put it on mains electric, and then when you're ready to drive, you can put on the battery setting, which is not off the leisure battery, it's off the vehicle battery. When the engine's running, it sends a feed off the alternator to the fridge, which turns it into a cool box. So it's got to be pre-chilled beforehand, and then this will just keep the temperature that it was currently at during the time you're driving until you go back onto mains electric, or you go onto gas, which is at the bottom. It's 6 o'clock, there's gas, this is your temperature, push it in, put the sparker in as well, and you want to make sure this orange band goes into green. Once it goes into green, you can let go, and this is it now lit on gas. When you're winterizing or simply not using the vehicle for a couple of weeks, especially with the fridge, it's very important that you empty it, give it a wipe out with some anti-bac wipes or anti-bac sprays, and then you don't want to shut the door, because obviously that clean air then becomes mouldy, smelly air, and mould and bacteria will start to grow in your fridge. So on the light there's a little nib, push it in, these two toggles will pop out, and what that'll do is it'll stop the door from shutting on itself, and it'll allow an air circulation in and out the fridge. Above you've got your wardrobe, and you've got a table leg and a table top to go in the back there, on the floor, a fire extinguisher and your carpets. And then at the back you've got a TV bracket, so you can connect your TV to here, and then this would just lift off. So the bracket face just lifts off, and you'll be able to screw your telly into there. But I always advise you to get a 12-volt telly, because if you were wild camping they'll work, whereas a 240 telly you'll have to be going to sites all the time for this to work. But you do have a 12-volt, a telly point, aerial point, and a 240-volt plug. Individual reading lights, you can turn these on and off depending on which light you want on. You've got your solar panel on the roof, so this is a solar panel selector. So at the bottom it's going to the leisure battery, and at the top it's going to the vehicle battery. In the middle is off, so you can determine which battery you want the charge from the solar to go to, whether you're using it and you want it to go to the vehicle battery, or it's standing around, or should I say vice versa. If you're using it you want it to go to the leisure battery, and if it's standing around you want it to go to the vehicle battery. TV aerial, so it's a fixed aerial on this one, so this is just your Teleco TV booster. So you've got an amplifier here, so you can turn it stronger or weaker should it be too strong or too weak, and you'll get your perfect picture by using this. But we always advise you to retune your telly every time you move, because you'll be getting a different signal. Windows, you do have a fly screen and a blackout blind, clip in the middle, and you can depart the two. Push the buttons in, push the window out, turn these to lock it in, turn them to loosen it to bring the window back in, and then always make sure that your windows and skylights are securely fastened before you start travelling. To make the bed, you'd simply lift and slide them in the middle, use the backrests into here, and there you have a double bed across the vehicle. Well, you may as well turn these ones upside down as well, so you get the flatter surface to sleep on. And then underneath this seat you do have your boiler, like I've showed you from outside, but you also have in this panel here your EC155 power supply unit. So this is your distribution board, so you've got your 12-volt fuses, and they're all listed underneath what fuse does what and what amperage they are. And then you've got your RCD and MCB, so if you trip the vehicle, try here before you try your main site, and then when this switch is lit up it means that you are receiving 240 volt. So if you've got any problems with 240, always check that this is lit up, and this indicates that 240 volts on board. If that wasn't lit up, then it might be the campsite or your plug where you're plugged in at home that isn't switched on. Build number, so each vehicle from Motor Trail is given a build number. So if you ever need parts, quote your build number and we'll be able to get the right parts for your vehicle by using the Auto Trail system. There's a fuse spare back here as well, which is for your hot water on mains electric. So this fuse spare must be on for you to then use the panel and select EL1 or EL2, otherwise it will fail and it'll come up with the exclamation mark. If you had no water on board, to stop you from doing that, you may want to flick it off, but just make sure that you don't catch that when you're loading the vehicle. In this cupboard behind the wardrobe, you've got a Truma iNet box. So your CP Truma control panel above the habitation door, which does your hot water and your heating. What you can do is you can put a SIM card in here and you can remotely set it by texting the number or using the app to set your heating to a certain temperature and your hot water when you're away from the vehicle. So it's fitted with a box. You just need to connect with a SIM card in the top here for this to work. In the washroom, so as long as the pump's on, to operate the toilet you'll be able to press the blue button, which is your freshwater flush. Flush your toilet. Flush it first, which lubricates the seal between the blade and the toilet. And then we'll always advise you to open it, which is pushing this grey lever, which is the blade, to the right. Use the toilet. Flush after use. If you're going to use any pink toilet cleaner, put in a spray bottle, spray the bowl, flush, and then bring this back towards you, which is pulling to the left. Shuts the cassette, seals the cassette, and then should you need to get it out, if it's shut, you'll be able to get the cassette out. If it's open, you won't. And then here it's showing green, which means the cassette is good to be used. Once it gets to red, it needs to be emptied. You've got your shower curtain, your shower head, which is handheld. You've got to press the button on there for that to work. Your drop down sink, and your water there is getting lovely and warm. But with your sink, as it's a drop down one, this fills with water and then it tips back into here. So what you've got to do is go very slow. So if you've got it full of water, don't just tip it straight up because it will flood the bathroom. Tip it very slowly, and as you can see, it's draining into this funnel here, and then it goes into the wastewater tank. And then behind the mirrors you do have a toiletry cabinet. So make sure they are shut before you travel as well, and they won't bang around when you're on the road. Hooks for towels or coats, and toilet roll holder and towel reel. So in the front you've got your lounge, which is your half dinette with your extra seat belts. Your seats spin by pulling this lever and spinning them round. If they do get stuck, you may just need to adjust the driving position, which is the bar, so push it forward or back and you'll be able to turn the seat round, both passenger and driver. And then you've got an added worktop extension there, which you can turn round, and then all four can dine round the table. To connect the table to the rail underneath, there is these little levers which push forward and lock it on. So to take it off, you'd have to pull them back out, and then you can lift the table off and remove it if you want when traveling, or they might want the table in the back when traveling. It's up to you. Some people like it, some people don't. Gives them extra leg room without it. Some people like it for putting the bits and pieces on when on the road. Now in the cab, to the right of the driver you do have your handbrake. And then on the doors you've got your electric driver and passenger windows, and you can choose which mirror you want to adjust, and you've got 2 on each side, the top and the bottom. And then fitted to the cab is Remus cab blind, so if you pinch and slide you'll be able to black out the driver and passenger windows. And then the windscreen, pinch and slide, and then it's on a magnetic strip, and that would be how you'd black the cab out on an evening or when you're parked up and it could be too sunny for you. LPG level indicator, headlight adjustment and rear fogs, trip computer which goes through your range, your average and instant consumption, your travelling times, your distance travelled on there, and you press and hold to reset. Steering wheel controls, lights and indicators. On the bottom you've got cruise control, which is the top one. Get your desired speed, push up, and that'll save that to your cruise control, and then you'll be able to take your foot off the accelerator and your cruise will be working. Push up to accelerate, pull down to slow down, and then with the speed limiter go up slowly, goes up in 1s, push and hold goes up in 5s, and then you press the end to cancel resume on the cruise control. But it also puts the speed limiter on, which is on now, and then when it says off, all you need to do is press the end and that'll put the speed limiter back on. So no matter if you press right down to the floor, it'll override it, but if you just feather the throttle, it won't override the speed limiter. 6-speed manual gearbox with lift the collar into reverse, which will bring on your rear view camera, which is on your monitor. Padlock locks the doors because the van conversion's got central locking on all the doors, but you've got your heated mirrors. USB for charging and 12 volt. 2 cup holders and a USB and auxiliary for the head unit. Temperature on the left hand ring must be on fan speed 1 or more for the middle button, which is the air conditioning. Then on the right side ring you've got your distribution, so face, feet or screen, where you want the air to go to and whether you're recirculating it or you're bringing fresh air in. Head unit is FM AM radio. Media, doesn't take a CD, would be Bluetooth or USB or auxiliary. And then to connect your phone, you'd press phone, enter, add a phone. You want to find Uconnect, make sure the pins match. Once the pins match, press pair on your device, and then it'll say, do you want to allow your contacts to be saved to the device? Press allow, and it'll download the contacts into the phone book, so when you press phone you'll be able to scroll through, and if it's saved it'll come up with a name instead of just a number.